were silent. They didn't say anything about the mandates and the restrictions. And I thought, you know what? I can do better. I think I can do a lot better than them. So that's why I jumped into this. We're in a serious situation in Ontario. I want to be for the people. I want to listen to them and their needs and act on that and support them in any way that I can. It's a learning process for me, and I'm still growing. I'm a nurse, I'm a cook,
There you go.
There are so many, moms wear so many hats, and I think sometimes as society we forget about that. Moms are so important, and so are dads, and they are, sometimes they're left out too, you know, and I think we've got to remember that dads are important. Our kids need our dads. When you have a baby, it just brings out love that you never thought that you had before. Grace gives me hope.
There you go. Well, this is Your Favorite Life in the Barrie community. Thank you, Grace Dean, and good luck. All you need, you. Show up, living. Pay attention, your. Participate. Favorite. La 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 life. La 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 life. Namaste. Welcome to Your Favorite Life. I'm Jeffosaurus Rex, and my goal is to bring you conversations of growth, adventure, and creativity. Hopefully we can shine some light on your path to your favorite life. I'd like to give a shout out to a good friend of mine and the sponsor of this show, Derek Clugston, who's a real estate agent through the Simcoe region and works through Zolo. Derek makes buying and selling your home a smooth and stress-free transition. Thank you, Derek. Today I had the pleasure of speaking with Grace Dean, a new member of the Ontario Party who was seeking election in provincial parliament to represent Barrie-Innisfil. Grace is pleased to be part of the Ontario Party's freedom movement that puts freedom, family, and faith above all else. She's a strong believer of Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms and how they must never be trampled on. Grace has spent her life assisting a variety of people with their careers by finding meaningful employment, as well as improving their quality of life. I hope you enjoy this conversation as we learn more about Grace and how she's never stopped growing in life and her hope for a brighter future in Canada. Okay, you ready to rock?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, welcome everybody. I have the pleasure today of speaking with Grace Dean, and she is a community member from Barrie-Innisfil, Simcoe region, and she's running in the Barrie-Innisfil riding with the new Ontario Party.
Yes, it is Ontario Party, yeah.
Excellent, and I'm really happy that we have this opportunity to talk. I saw you give a little speech at a community meeting that I was a part of, and it was really inspiring. You had a lot of energy, and I think in today's world right now, it's a little bit hard to find that energy when we're constantly being pushed down. So kudos to you for stepping out of your comfort zone, as you said, and trying something new and helping community. And so everybody, round of applause for Grace. Yeah, so why don't you just tell me a little bit about you got into working with people with special needs early on in your life, and then with people in their careers and helping them improve their quality of life and their direction. Do you want to speak about?
Okay. I started when I was younger. I worked in a residential home as a night person and supervised the children while they were sleeping, and they had special needs, emotional problems. And I got interested in that, and when an opening came up for another position, working with people who have special needs, I jumped at it and I was hired, and it just snowballed from there. I ended up working with various organizations, the Ontario March of Dimes, Canadian Mental Health Association, and I enjoyed working with the people that had the needs. I enjoyed helping them to find solutions to their employment needs. It's quite rewarding when you find that people are getting jobs because you're helping them. You're helping them with interviewing skills, critiquing their resumes, and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's very. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. I learned a lot from them, and I know the challenges that they have too, and I can understand how they feel with those challenges, and I can support them in those challenges.
Yeah, good for you. So actually my next question would be, who helped you, or how did you find your way into working with people with special needs and with their careers? So it's, you know, you understand my question? Like, who guided you in that direction?
I would have to say, when I was younger, I would have to say Malcolm Savage. He encouraged me to apply for the job at the residential setting. And he suggested, in order to get that job, that I would go and do some volunteer work at a school that had people with children with disabilities. So that's what I did, and it worked out well for me. And I realized that I enjoyed working with the children. I enjoyed working with the teachers as well. And when the opportunity came, I was able to apply for that job at the residential setting, and Malcolm hired me. So I give him credit for that.
Excellent. It's like he must have seen in you a particular quality and felt like you would benefit working with that population.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're doing that for other people, or have done that for
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
You probably did that for a while, and now you're taking on another new task. That's the common thread, that you like to try different things in life, right?
Well, yeah. And this is, being a candidate right now is really out of my comfort zone. I wasn't sure that I should be doing this, but when I was sitting on the sidelines, just watching what was happening to our province. The Ford government was actually destroying people's lives. That's the only way I can put it. I was very upset about that, and I thought, you know, when I think of the MPPs and the MPs, they were silent throughout the 2 years of this COVID. They were silent. They didn't say anything about the mandates and the restrictions, and I thought, you know what? I can do better. I think I can do a lot better than them. So that's why I jumped into this. Like I say, I'm out of my comfort zone, but I do have a great team working with me. The Ontario Party, they've been absolutely great. They're very supportive, and I have volunteers that they're just amazing. And so I have all that support with me, and my family supports me as well.
Great answer. And actually, I'd love to comment on that. You said you may not be totally sure this is the right thing to be doing for you right now. However, there's a part of you that feels strongly like you need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing something brand new, sometimes it's hard to find that certainty at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing is that because you're new to it, you have a whole team around you though, and that's going to support you, and everyone is new at some point, right? And bless all of our local leaders and politicians who during their terms have done their best. I always like to think that people do their best. Now, when these unprecedented times come about, sometimes different actions need to be taken, like standing up and speaking up, and different types of people need to stand up, like yourself, and maybe these other leaders who, like you said, were quiet, maybe they don't have that part of them developed yet, where during this communal stress, they're not able to stand up and speak up, and don't want to blame them. It's just maybe that's just not a quality they have. So it's good that people like yourself are joining and trying to fill a gap. So yeah, do you want to speak about the Ontario Party and maybe some of the things that they're looking to help with? And I know free speech is one of them. And
Oh yeah, yeah. We're for free speech. Derek Sloan, he is the leader of the Ontario Party, and he is going to require that employers, as you know, a lot of employees refuse to take the jab, and they were fired, or and he is going to require that employers hire those employees back. I think that's really important. A lot of families are suffering. They're in a bad way, and I think the government had better pay attention to that. Also, people who have been seriously injured by taking the jab after having taken it, the government or Derek Sloan is going to support them in any court proceedings to sue any government officials, anyone that's had anything to do with these jabs. So if someone has been injured by this vaccination, you will get the support from Derek Sloan, the
That's
Ontario
great.
Party. Yeah.
What are some things that you've learned during your new journey of stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something new? Like, is there anything specific you've learned and grown? I'm
still growing.
Of course, yeah.
This is totally new to me. All I can say is that I've learned a lot from some of the volunteers. I've learned a lot from the party itself. This is politics, and it's a totally different new world. It's a new world, and I've never been that involved in politics. Like, if you had told me a year ago that I was going to be doing this, I would have said you're nuts. There's no way. But just a few months ago, it was just, this is something that I needed to do. But it's a learning process for me, and I'm still growing. I can't say for sure that I've learned a whole lot. I have learned a little bit, but I still have a lot of learning to go.
Small steps.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, small steps. And I'm not a politician. I'm not a politician. I don't want to be a politician. I want to be for the people. I don't want to play the games.
Yeah.
I want to be for the people. I want to listen to them and their needs and act on that and support them in any way that I can.
Yeah, that's great. And I don't think it would make sense if everyone running was a politician and had a political degree, because you need other people who live in your community, who are your neighbors, who do different things, like they take care of the roads and they teach dragon boating for the community, like myself. And you need those people's contributions and ways of thinking too. And I think it's really important to, there's 8 billion people in the world, and trying to agree on some of the same things. If you won't be able to do that. You have to find some way to find a middle ground and meet in the middle, and like you're saying and listen to them and say and support them in any way you can. And because I used to be a referee, and I think a politician is kind of like a referee. Is no matter what decision you make, you're going to upset somebody. So how do you meet in the middle? You try and be as fair as possible and be for the people and be transparent. And so good for you. It's inspiring. How about we speak about do you want to talk a little bit about something from your career, like helping people with their careers again, and like joy you've gotten out of that, like any specific story of helping find the potential in people? I feel like when I read your questionnaire about helping people see the best in themselves, you acted like a mirror.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can't see that as ourselves, whereas we need someone to look at us from an objective perspective. Do you have any?
Well, there have been so many clients that I've had that I've helped. And not all stories are happy stories. They've had issues, and things just didn't work out for them. And maybe that was not the proper time for them to be looking for a job. Maybe they needed to get the help that they needed, right? I remember I just overheard a client one day talking to one of the counselors in their group session. All of a sudden he said, "Grace gives me hope." And it just melted my heart. It just made me feel so good inside that I gave this guy some hope. And that to me meant so much, that I was doing my job, And I'll never forget that. It's a little thing, but I will never forget it.
Great story. Yeah. In a world that's always trying to push us down, it can be difficult to be optimistic.
Yeah.
And great story. What else we want to talk about? You want to talk about you did say maybe it wasn't the right time for some of those people in the directions they'd taken. It's kind of like what you said about if you thought last year if you'd be running in the election, you would have said, "No way, Jose." However, that wasn't the right time for you. And something, got you not just to stand up off the couch when you're watching what's happening and join some communities and listen to different people and ask questions, but you also spoke up too. Not that everyone needs to speak up. There's different paths. That's something, a quality you have. Maybe you want to tell me where that power in your voice came from, because you gave a really beautiful speech. It was very energizing. And where does that come from?
It's conviction. Like, I know when something is wrong. I think I've always been like that ever since I was a kid. If something is wrong, then it's wrong and it needs to be dealt with, And I think that's where I got it from. I think my faith in God also has brought that out. I can't do this without God's help. There's just no way, because I'm just not strong enough. But my strength comes from God, and I believe that's where the conviction comes. People are being hurt. Families are being destroyed. People have died unnecessarily because they have not been given the proper treatments for COVID.
And unnoticed.
And unnoticed, yeah. And that angers me with a righteous anger, I might add. And it should anger everyone that this is going on, and it should not be going on. I'm starting to get passionate now.
Yeah, I feel you. And my grandma's been in the hospital for about 4 or 5 months. Long story. And unfortunately, like, I'm not allowed to go see her. And
That shouldn't be.
you know, hopefully they'll let her come outside and I can see her now that it's warmer out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's little things like that where I'm like, okay, like I've given it 3 months. Now it's been 4 months. It's like, where's the end date?
Yeah.
Like, when can I see my grandma?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
There's just little things like that go unnoticed. And I'm not the only one. There's so many different things with people losing their jobs.
Right.
And that have gone unnoticed and pushed under the rug. So,
Mm-hmm. And people there's an increase of suicides because they can't deal with, they've lost hope. And this has got to stop. And it stops with the Ontario Party. We'll deal with all this.
that's good. Yeah. Did you get closer to God, Creator, later on in your life, or was this something, because I asked you a question about something that impacted your life,
Mm-hmm.
or something significant that changed your perspective? Was there something specific that happened that brought you closer to God or Jesus? And or did you grow up?
I grew up in a family, a Christian family, went to church every Sunday and everything. And I knew all the scriptures, I knew, all the terminology and all that stuff, but I did not have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And even though it was like an act, and people thought I was a Christian, and I knew deep down I wasn't, but I went along with everything. I came to a point in my life that I needed God. It was just a conviction in my heart that I needed the Lord. But before that, and I'll touch on this, I am pro-life, and the reason being is that I've had an abortion when I was 23 years old. It was the worst thing that I could have done. I was selfish, and I only thought of myself. When I found out I was pregnant, first thing I thought, abortion. I am not going to get married. I am not going to have my life interrupted because I had started a new career working with people who have special needs, and I did not want to lose that. And that's my mindset at that time. I thought I'd lose everything if I kept the baby, right? That was a wrong thinking. That was just wrong thinking. But anyway, I went forward with the abortion. I lied to my parents. I said I had a cyst removed. They went to their graves thinking that I had a cyst removed. Fast forward to 2012. Even though after a couple of years after the abortion, I came to know Jesus as my Savior. So that happened. And I went on with life, but this lie was still there. I had never told my family that I had had an abortion, but that lie was there. And finally in 2012, I started having triggers of memories, and it was just incredible. It was amazing. And I thought, could this be about the abortion? Because I had forgotten about it. I didn't want to think about it, and I just forgot about it. And it just occurred to me that this might have something to do with my abortion. I couldn't remember what month I had the abortion. I knew it was a Friday, but I didn't know the date. That's all, because I wanted to wipe it out of my mind. So anyway, long story short, these triggers kept happening, and I realized that I needed counseling because I was in a very dark way. It was considered post-abortion stress syndrome, and that's what I was going through. And I went through it for several years. I did tell my family about it after all, although my parents had passed away, but my sister and my brothers, and they all know. And they were shocked because Grace, she was a good kid, she didn't do those things. And they were shocked, but they were very supportive and very forgiving. So,
good word, forgiving.
Yeah. And I had a hard time forgiving myself. It was a process for me. I couldn't understand, I said, God, I'm sorry that I did that. But I kept having all these flashbacks and just depression and even thoughts of suicide, and I couldn't understand. And the counselor one day said to me, well, the first time I met the counselor, she said, God's not doing this to you. And if it's not God doing it, then who's doing it to you? Because you have already asked God's forgiveness, and he has. So what's going on? So I realized that it was really Satan that was attacking my mind, which he does attack the mind. And that was the beginning of my healing right there. I knew where this was coming from, and I could deal with it. God helped me to deal with it, and that's... So I'm a pro-life person, and what I did was murder, and it was a selfish act.
Yeah, interesting story. And I was doing a bit of research. Thanks for sharing that. And forgiving yourself and
well, I hope it helps somebody out there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm going to be as mindful as I can. Yeah, I just want to be mindful when I speak about this, because when I was doing research with the Ontario Party, it talked about some sort of rule, and maybe you can briefly comment on this, that did they put up a rule that they're not allowed to have protests at abortion clinics?
It's a bubble zone. Yeah, it's
so what, maybe you could just enlighten me what that...
well, it has to do with free speech. They don't want anyone speaking to anyone who's thinking about having an abortion outside the clinics or the hospital. So they put a bubble zone out so that you're prevented from speaking to anyone who's thinking about having abortion.
So bubble zone as in like at a clinic, there's a certain space where people can't, if you're walking up to clinic, you can't go and talk to them.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
So it's a bubble
So
kind of thing.
let me comment on that, because that's new for me.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was kind of like, yeah, like we should leave those people alone. Like it's their body, like let them decide. However, like in light of what's happened in Ottawa with like free speech and protesting, I'm glad I did see the other side of it. I'm always trying, see the other side, because for me at least, I took from it was, as long as it's, it's peaceful protesting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or
That's right.
Or peaceful information. Because some people may be very young, and maybe they're 19 years old, and yeah, if that's their decision and they want to go through with it, then I have to respect and let them make their decision. Now, I have noticed this trend in life where we don't ask for help and we don't always ask for feedback. We tend to get criticized a lot. However, like, we tend not to open ourselves up to people we trust even and say, hey, like, I wrote this song, can you tell me what you think about it? Or do you think I should be working with people with special needs, or whatever it may be, like asking for help. So I think with the Ontario Party is they're trying to get rid of the bubble, I guess. And is that correct?
Well, yeah, they're going to repeal that, and like we're for free speech, you know.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
it's not attacking these young girls as they go. It's not attacking, and the media gets it wrong all the time.
Yeah. Kind of like when I looked at it, it was like
Yeah.
that was my first thought of like, oh, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Like why would they want to get rid of this bubble?
Mm-hmm.
But I took, that was your first thought, and then you have to, okay, hold on a second, hold your horses.
Yeah.
Like, let's make sure we, like you said, because the media can skew things, and
Mm-hmm.
and sorry to interrupt. I just want to point
that's
out,
all right.
the young girls, like, again, maybe they don't ask for help, and make sure that they have enough support and information, as long as it's done in a
Right.
peaceful, free speech way. Yeah.
Exactly, and the information, they're not getting the proper information. So maybe, if they had the proper information, maybe that baby could be saved and put up for adoption. And that's another thing. The Ontario Party is going to make it a lot easier for adoption, a lot easier now.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
'Cause, again, this topic is new for me, so
Mm-hmm.
our listeners, be kind. And yeah, I was interested in that too. With adoption, is it can be quite pricey.
Mhm.
So, why is it so expensive to help a human being
Exactly.
who doesn't
yeah.
have any parents?
And go
And
through
again,
red
I don't know the other side of that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, like all of these costs and these are the reasons, which I'd like to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
However, it seems kind of strange that it's astronomically expensive. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And a lot of red tape, needlessly. And those babies could have a nice home, and parents who are wishing they could have a child that can't have a child, they're just wanting one so badly when they
Right.
could,
That too,
good
there's a good
home.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, people who can't or have a hard time having kids, and then
Mhm.
it's even harder to, I don't want to say purchase a kid, but, help a child and bring
Yeah.
them into your home, into your family.
Mhm.
And maybe we can segue, unless you wanted to say anything else on that
No,
topic.
no, I'm good.
Maybe we can segue to family a little bit. And you have a son, and do you have more kids?
I have a son, yes. Mhm.
And you don't have to give me a specific story or anything, but I'm just curious, as a mother, what could you share? Because I think this is kind of stuff we don't really talk about too publicly either, except for maybe our close friends. What could you share about being a mother throughout your life that you've had to change as a person and adapt, and many things, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But I think I'd love to hear what being a mother means to you, and how maybe something you've had to navigate being a parent. Like I said, many things, I'm sure. Anything stand out for you? Or?
I'm a nurse. I'm a cook.
There you go.
There are so many. Moms wear so many hats, and I think sometimes as society we forget about that. Moms are so important, and so are dads, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're left out too, and I think we've got to remember that dads are important. Our kids need our dads. For me, it was a joy to have. He's a sweetheart. He's 36 years old. He's still a sweetheart, and he's married. And for me, it was I had to learn so much from him. Actually, he's so bright that I learned a lot from him. I have a lot of love for him. I think that's something when you have a baby, it just brings out love that you never thought that you had before. There's just something about a baby when you have one. And I mean, I made mistakes with him. I was the disciplinarian in the family. My husband, not so much. And I disciplined him, and sometimes I maybe shouldn't have disciplined him, But he did grow up to be a fine young man, and I'm very proud of what he's achieved. I tried to do my best with him, and I know I failed in areas, but no parent is perfect. Like, my parents weren't perfect. I still love them. I got my bottom spanked a few times, and my son, he got his bottom spanked a few times. So, and it never hurt him. Like, I mean, he grew up to be a good kid. I've made mistakes, but overall, he turned out to be a good kid.
Great answer. Yeah. No parent is perfect, and the way your parents discipline you or work with you, you kind of navigate what worked and what you didn't like, and if you can change and be better to your own kids, and the story goes on and on, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the love that you didn't know you had, like caring for other people. And I guess if you're able to find that love without having a child is like special too, whether it's a love for God, creator, and
Mm-hmm.
or love for nature, and just for your community and neighbors. And you spoke about how in community and in family, it's important for us to be accepted for who we are. And in the last couple years, yeah, a lot of us have felt excluded and ostracized.
Exactly.
And it seems very unfair. And so I'm happy that you're speaking to new people and helping them voice their concerns, because yeah, it's not easy to voice our concerns ourselves sometimes when we're new to it. So we need support, and that's what community is all about, right? And
Right.
do you want to talk a bit about, you have another appointment after this?
I'm supposed to meet my volunteers to get the word out somehow.
Yeah, bless our volunteers. Right?
Oh,
That's like the love right there.
yeah. They're the engine that drives my campaign.
Yeah.
I would not know what to do without them. I'd be nothing, absolutely nothing. I mean, they're on top of everything. They were with me at the Victory Center that night when I did the speech. And I was sitting there, and I had them sitting beside me. I was thinking, wow, I'm really blessed to have these guys with me. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, you know what I just realized is, in such a fast-paced world where we're working 8-9 hours a day, especially if it's a physical job or a desk job and you're at a computer all day, it's very taxing on our minds and our bodies. Then you come home, and if you're a parent, and you got play nurse and wear all the hats, or
Yeah.
And then maybe you want to go out to book club with your friends, right? Life is pretty busy, and so it is difficult to find time to volunteer and to want to volunteer, because like you need to pay your bills, and
That's
especially
right.
in a world where we're like losing our jobs. And so it's like, bless people who have the energy and space to volunteer. And not that if you're not volunteering, like you're not doing something right. It's just maybe not the time for you. And
Right.
when the space frees up, see if you can find avenues for that, because it's kind of like that love you spoke about as a parent, that when you volunteer and don't expect things in return.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know what I'd do without them. I know their lives are busy. They have other things that they need to be doing for their families and whatnot, but they find the time to help me. and I can't thank them enough for their help. I don't think they realize how much I appreciate each and every one of them.
Excellent. I just realized that we're both volunteering our time to do this episode because there was no monetary exchange, just for the audience to know that. But yeah, so bless volunteers. And since you got to go soon, right?
Yeah.
Maybe let's ask you one more question. Do you have a little more time? Or?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe just touch on a hobby of yours, which is writing and directing plays, things you've done in the past. Maybe you've acted in some plays. Do you want to touch on how you got into that and what that brings into your life?
I really can't tell you how it started. It's always been in me. I've always liked writing stories, or just writing letters even. I like doing things like that. And I just decided that churches needed more plays, more involvement in that kind of, to make the Bible come to life kind of thing.
Cool.
So I started writing plays, and I had actors and actresses, and sometimes I would have to fill in an act because for whatever reason an actor or actress wasn't able to do it. But
more hats?
Yeah, more hats, yeah. But I think it was an opportunity too, not just to put on a play, but to have a community together, doing something positive within the church community, people becoming friends with different people. It was a growing process kind of thing. I think it was good for the morale of the church as well, because they knew, oh, there's a play coming, we want to come and see it. And there are, challenges along the way. Nothing goes smoothly. It never does, but it worked out. I've done about 5 plays so far, and there's one play that I'm just dying to do, and it's called By Invitation Only, and it's totally different. It's the best play I've ever done or written, and I just haven't had a chance to direct it or put it on because of COVID, and that's the problem right there.
Wonderful. Good for you. I like what you said, bringing it to life.
Yeah.
Being creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like writing a song, making a music video, playing it on stage, sharing the story, connecting with the community. It sounds like the church. What is the church that you go to?
Well, right. I'm going to Innisfil Community Church. A couple of years ago, before the COVID started, we put on a play, and it was. I like to deal with issues of today, the issues that are going on today. This play was basically a Christmas play, but it was fun. It was a fun-loving play, and yet we touched on the birth of Jesus Christ, and it was totally different. It was well received. Yeah. But the next one I want to do is By Invitation Only, because it's just amazing. I love it, and I think it's a God thing, and but unfortunately we haven't been able to do it because of...
You will. You will. Yeah. Wonderful. Good for you for, like I said, not afraid to try new hats in life, and working with art can be very moving, and finding community in church, and getting off the sidelines and running with the Ontario Party. It's really inspiring, and just want to thank you again for meeting here today with me and sharing me your story. And is there any way people can connect with you? What's the best way to connect with you or the Ontario Party if they want to learn more information and maybe they want to help too?
Well, you can go to gracedean.ca. That's our website, and all information is right there. It's very simple, gracedean.ca.
Perfect. Yeah, in closing, do you want to leave the listeners with anything, or?
Well, this is a serious time right now we're living in, and we really have to be careful about who we're voting for or what party we're voting for. And I would suggest that you do your research. The days of voting because grandma and grandpa voted this way, voted this party for years and years, is gone. We can't do that anymore.
Good advice.
We're in a serious situation in Ontario, and if I'll say this, a vote for Doug Ford is a vote for Justin Trudeau, and we know what Justin Trudeau has done to this country, and Doug Ford has followed along with him. So this is serious business. If Doug Ford gets in again, I really worry about Ontario. He's going to bring in the digital ID this fall. That means government will have access to your personal information. Remember what they did to the truckers? They froze the truckers' bank accounts, didn't they? Yeah. And the federal government tracked 30 million Canadians to ensure that we all obeyed the mandates of lockdowns. We don't want that. We want our freedom back. And if Doug Ford gets in again, our freedoms are gone because he will follow along with Justin Trudeau. So please be very careful who you vote for. Please vote for the Ontario Party. We are for you. We are not against you. We are for you.
Nicely said. Grace Dean from the Barrie-Innisfil riding with the Ontario Party. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And just want to give a shout out to Grace for standing up and helping people speak their voices and listening to others' concerns. And a shout out to all the other people in the last couple of years who have stepped up, especially in the Barrie community. Shalou at Simmering Kettle.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She's
yeah,
amazing.
And the Lighthouse on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
If you want to connect with another community, with Michelle and Jamie and all of those great folks, lovely community. And Samantha, High Vibrations, a lot of people who are really wanting to connect with community these days. And don't be afraid to ask questions in life and try something new.
That's right, yeah.
And I was just thinking of saying, yeah, take it one stride at a time. And like Grace said, maybe you can just leave us with that quote, the hope, what your the person you worked with said to you.
Grace gives me hope.
There you go. Well, this is Your Favorite Life in the Barrie community. Thank you, Grace Dean, and good luck. And do what you're doing, and you'll do great.
Great.
I'm proud of you, and you should be very proud of you yourself. So,
thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, friends. Hopefully you learned something new. For more information on living your favorite life, head over to yourfavoritelife.com to connect and explore some personal development services. If you feel like leaving me a review, I'd love to consider your feedback. And if you resonate with this energy, follow, share with a friend, and subscribe. Remember, create a nice life. Be kind, be curious, and be creative. Catch you on the flip side.